Hi and welcome to a new video. My name is Sovannary and last year I was traveling a lot. I wrote a list with 77 things how you can prepare for your next trip. Those advices are advices that I would give you as a female solo traveler, and I would say it is more focused on Asia, but I have a few advices for you if you are going to travel in Europe. So let's get started. Tip number one, get yourself a little bag for your passport and your important documents. My plane tickets, my passport, and my vaccination book. Found something like this and just took a needle to stitch it on the back so I can use it as a belt. Second, use sunscreen wherever you go. Third, to feel more energetic, try to wake up early in the morning and take a cold shower. Don't use the aircon too often. It is very unhealthy. I got sick for 4 months straight until I was back in Germany. Don't drink the tap water. When you plan your trip, I personally used Excel to plan everything. I planned my money there, my week there, and it was really easy for me to have an overview over everything and change things up. And when you plan your things, try to do less program and explore more. A hotel or hostel, wherever you are staying, they're going to offer you a lot of things for much cheaper than on the internet, than when you are getting a tour guide. When you're traveling in Europe, I would always recommend you to get your tickets, whether it is for your train or something else, before that. And another advice that I have for you when you're traveling in Germany or in Europe is, for example, you want to go from Munich to Dortmund and there is a train or something. You look for tickets. You should always look up for the tickets, how much they cost when you, for example, go from Munich to 2 stations after Dortmund, because sometimes it's less expensive. Where you should check when you are traveling in Europe is Flixbus, because this is very cheap, and also you can go anywhere with public transportation. Transportation in Asia, it is something different. They usually use like Gojek, Pass app. For example, in Thailand they use Grab, or Cambodia they use Pass app. Actually, Grab is used by almost every country in Asia. In Bali, I think it was Gojek and Grab, and inform yourself about that. For example, in Europe, I cannot recommend you to get yourself a taxi because it's too pricey. When you're traveling into another country, you should always check the country and what the foreign office is writing about it. So in Germany, it is called Auswärtiges Amt. All the most important things that you need to know, whether it comes to the weather, whether it comes to the most dangerous places. And that's the next point that I have. Look up for crimes that are happening often in this country, because the more you know about a certain situation, the less you are in danger. You are in Asia, is go thrifting because it is cheap and they have a lot of good stuff. And if you want to meet young people, you have to go to those points. If you want to meet people that are in your age, I don't know what age you are, but I am like 19. I love to be with people around my age, so I love to go to places, to spots which are really public. You can check on TikTok, and that's also another advice. I always use TikTok to look up cool places. But as I already said, I would not only go to those overhyped places. Most of the time, too overhyped, and it's not like on the pictures. It is much smaller. There are much more people than you might think. If you're just going somewhere, exploring the city by yourself, you explore and see the most beautiful places that are not on social media. So when you want to know where you could go, check on TripAdvisor. And another tip is, you do not always need a tour guide, because most of the times tour guides are really overcharging. You can just go into this place and you don't need someone who explains everything to you. Most of the time you can just Google or explore this place yourself. Trying to say with this video is that you don't have to pay a lot to travel. You can have a low budget and still see everything that you want to see. If you want to travel for a longer time, it is much smarter if you just don't spend as much money on certain things. What I would recommend you to do is always learn a little bit of the language too, because people are so happy every time you can say at least something, whether it is a hello or a sawadika. You're going to meet a lot of nice people. And when you Google that, you should also Google norms are in this country. For example, what you should not do, whether it is in temples, or try to fit in with people. You can absorb them by just looking at them first. For example, when I was in France, sometimes people assume that a lot of things get stolen in France, especially in a metro. But you just have to be careful. They also warn you in metro, but the more you act like you are a tourist, the more other people know how anxious you are, and that's also a target for thieves or something. And also when it comes to the clothing, that is also very important. If you want to travel safe, especially as a solo female traveler, how the people are dressing and try to dress the same way. Street food, because it is very cheap, and it's also really interesting. You can also ask them, hey, what is a food that you can recommend? Maybe you will discover really nice things. And especially at markets, I would recommend you to eat there too. That is like tropical fruits. If your gut stomach is very sensitive, try to get some medicine in advance, because you'll never know. Pack medicine, buy medicine from home. When it's cheaper, you can also get medicine there, but sometimes it's much more expensive. A nose spray and something against mosquitoes, plasters, Vaseline, get seasick or eat something bad and stuff. My stuff for the girls. When it comes to mosquito spray, one that I bought in Asia, and it helped me so much. You will see when I have uploaded my vlogs about Asia how bad the situation was for me. Oh my god. Next topic is a very nice one. Haggling. I think it's called haggling. When you go to the markets, how to get things for cheap. When I was traveling, I was having this one friend showed me how to haggle, and he was really good. So first of all, he tried to flirt. That was really interesting, so that's something that you could do. But what I actually wanted to say is, if you see something that you really want, ask for the thing that you don't want first. Want to have this, but you're asking for this first. So you're asking, how much is it? They're saying $10, and you say, nah, it's too expensive. How about 5? Try to go 50% off. That's also what he told me. And then they say no, and you say it's too expensive. How much is this though? And then they're going to say something like, this is 7. And then you say, I'll take it for 5. Begin with the thing that you don't want. Second of all, try to go 50%. Third of all, I mean, you can try to beg, but most of the time it depends on the people themselves. Some of them don't want to talk much, so try to convince them with 2 sentences. If they say no, try to look for this thing somewhere else. Also, remember, just be nice to the people. There was this shop and I got it because I said, I have a lot of friends, I'm going to bring them here. Sometimes it's really good also to be kind yourself on how to behave in temples and public places. What you wear can be very disrespectful, and I remember I had one experience when I was in Thailand in this one temple, and at the place where everyone is praying, for me, especially as a Buddhist, I felt a little uncomfortable because there is a mat where you can sit, where you can pray. And the people were just standing there and taking pictures with their feet into the direction of the Buddha statue, and it's just very disrespectful. And we don't want that. We don't want other people to feel uncomfortable. When it comes to New York, if a lot of New Yorkers already, and they said when you are in New York, one rule is to mind your own business. Mind your own business most of the times. Of course, not always, but next one, if no one wants to go on this trip with you, just go by yourself, because you will not regret it. I promise you. It depends so much on yourself when you travel. So it's also important to get to know yourself more and try out new things, even though you never did that. As a female solo traveler, you have to be confident. And if you cannot do that, you just have to act. So before you go into another place, try to check your surroundings. You can look on Google Maps. Just go into this 360 cam and look at the surrounding, especially when you are looking for your hostel or hotel where you are staying. Most of the times the cheap ones are in places which are a little bit hidden, and it is important to decide whether you still want to go there or not. Would it be a place where you could go easily when it's dark? Trust your gut. You really, really, really have to trust your gut, because your gut instinct is so right. So when you are looking for a hotel or something, or a hostel, try to listen to your gut. If there is one that is cheap, but you kind of have this weird feeling, oh, this could be very dangerous, or because of the reviews and stuff, even though they're really good, you still have a certain feeling. Look for a hostel and hotel where you can feel good, where you feel 100% safe. When it comes to clothing, don't pack as much. You can buy the stuff there too, especially when you're traveling into a country which is a little bit cheaper. When you're traveling in Germany, when you're using the Deutsche Bahn, and inform yourself about news when it comes to the train, because most of the times the trains they cancel the trains for like a few days. It is called Streik. Try to Google GDL Germany before you go somewhere. Journal about your trip. When you are traveling, it's going to be a very beautiful time. Try to journal. My friend, before I was traveling, she gave me a little book, and I wrote down all the things that happened, whether it was good or very sad thoughts, just everything, and it's really interesting to reflect on it. Almost full, as you can see. Next one, when it comes to the flights are cheaper at nights. Flights that are longer are also cheaper. There's something that you have to ask yourself though. First of all, what is important to you? Is it important that you are traveling for cheap, or is it important that you are traveling safe? When it's at night, I don't always recommend it to you. I mean, I traveled at night because my budget back then was too low. Also, when it comes to long flights, it's not always something negative. Longer flights are cheaper, and that means you are having a lot of stops, and use it wisely. Let's say wisely. I was only supposed to go from Phnom Penh to Chiang Mai. I found a flight where I was able to stop in Bangkok for 11 hours. So I had time to explore Bangkok for a little, and that was the best part. If you want to explore more, look for the cheaper flights which are longer. Have a longer stop, at least 10 hours in another country. Where you can find those cheap flights is, for example, at Skyscanner. Kiwi, I heard, is good. My personal favorite is trip.com. Try to look them up with different currencies. When you book at a certain website, you can get them for cheaper. Get points or something, like credit points or something, and then your future flights are cheaper. So that's what I would recommend to you. Also, another way how you can travel for cheap is buses or night buses, where you can check 1, 2, 3 Go Asia, it's called. Next one, you don't need to be nice all the time. You can say no. If you feel comfortable, say no. That's something that can be misunderstood really, really fast. In some countries, you don't really smile at the other gender. When a creep is coming up to you and asking you things like, are you traveling alone? Say, no, you are not. You are visiting someone. Your friends are waiting at the accommodation. You go with your friends. Your boyfriend is waiting for you somewhere, your girlfriend or something, I don't know. Ask your friends if you can call them. What I did was ask them, okay, when do you have time? Because of the time differences in Asia and Europe, I asked them, when can I call you? Because at this time I have to drive with a Grab to my hotel room, and it's going to be 1 a.m. at my place. So when can I call you? And then I called my best friend Amy, and she acted like she was my husband. That was really funny, but I felt really safe. Never be scared to ask for help. Also, be very careful on how you trust with what. Advice would be for your flight, get yourself wet wipes before you go on this plane. So what I forgot to tell you, when you are looking for cheap flights, it is important to check every detail. How much luggage can you bring? Is it still the same airport where you have to take the next flight to the next country? How much space do you have when you are sitting? Always check that. You have to check everything, make sure that everything is right. When you're traveling into a very warm country, at least pack one hoodie and something that is going to save you for the rain. You don't need as much underwear as you might think. There are a lot of places where you can wash your stuff, but because it's taking a lot of space too. When it comes to books, you know, it's really hard to pack them because they are really big. They are online books. You can look for them in forms of podcasts or online on Spotify. Maybe someone else reads it for you. Or what I did was take pictures of certain pages, and at the end of the day, I didn't even read it. So no matter where you go, pack your power bank. I would recommend you to take 2 of those with you. You can travel anywhere. You don't even need to learn the language as long as you have your phone with you. I also had 2 power banks. I also had 2 phones, and I lost one, by the way. So that I had another phone. I would not recommend you to get a SIM card right away at the airport, especially when you can go anywhere with public transportation. You can just screenshot the things that you need, like where you have to go and stuff. And as I already said, check your surroundings. You can Google everything. It's too expensive, especially at the first, directly when they check your passport and stuff. there it is the most expensive. I would either recommend you, if you really need it, to wait until you find the next one, like when you're almost out of the airport, or look at a convenience store like 7-Eleven in Asia, because it's much cheaper. Save important numbers from this country, whether it is from the police, from the tourist police, ambassador of your country. For example, when you lose your passport, which is the worst thing that could happen, that's why I recommended you to get this kind of back. You have to call there. You have to tell them that is what you want to do. Save the number, or ask when you also lose your phone, ask someone else to call there. It is so important. Also, take pictures and scan of your cards, your passport, healthcare card, your license, everything. And also print it. It's also a good way. Okay, if you want to meet other people in other countries, if certain things are cheaper when you share them and you're traveling alone, for example, sharing a taxi, I would recommend you to look on hostel worlds. There you can connect with people that are at the same place, and that's what I, for example, did in Bali. There is a group and you can just write down, hey, I have to go from Ubud to, is there someone who wants to share a Grab with me? So it's much cheaper. In Thailand, I just saw a few people who were waiting for a taxi and I asked them, hey, in which direction are you going? So we were 4 people. Before you go to a certain place, check for ATMs that match with your card. At this place I want to switch to German real fast because this is something that I googled everywhere. Ich persönlich hatte keine Visa-Karte oder keine Kreditkarte oder sonst was. Ich hatte eine Debitkarte bzw. eine Sparkassenkarte und für mich war das dementsprechend sehr schwer, weil mein Vater meinte damals, ich kann eigentlich überall bezahlen, aber es ging tatsächlich nicht, auch PayPal nicht. Das werde ich gleich nochmal auf Englisch sagen. Ich würde auf jeden Fall schauen, wo eure Karten zugelassen werden, weil sonst wird es ein großes Problem, wenn ihr zum Beispiel Geld abheben möchtet. Bezahlen könnt ihr damit nicht in jedem Land. Also ihr braucht nicht unbedingt eine Kreditkarte oder sonst was. Es wäre gut und es wäre auch sehr gut, wenn ihr davor, bevor ihr reisen geht, eure Banken verständigt, dass ihr dahin reist. And always look for the reviews. And when you use the ATMs, try to see if there is something. It's really good if you have pockets, no matter where you are traveling, whether it is for money, whether it is for something else. Also, when it comes to money, don't only put it in one place, in your phone case, in your shoe or something, just somewhere you can remember. When it comes to passwords, I don't know if I would recommend you to write them down in notes or something. It can be very dangerous when you use public Wi-Fis, so write them down on a paper. Download a VPN. And VPN is basically something that is going to block you from people who are trying to hack your phone when you're using public Wi-Fis. When you're going to a place and you really want to post it afterwards. After you got back to your hotel, when you want to post your hotel, post it after you go somewhere else. You never know who's watching your stories. Also, when it comes to Instagram, you have this little thing where you are. Very careful with that. What helped me to have an overview over all the things that I had was to count my things. For example, your phone, 1, your luggage, 2, your hoodie that you have holding in your hand, 3, your bag, 4, your mini bag, 5. So always where you're going, no matter where you're going, try to count them. So do you still have all 5? When it comes to visa, try to inform yourself about the visa that you need. When I was traveling in Singapore, there was something like an online thing that I had to fill out. You have to pay for your visa in some countries, even though you're just staying for a little. Try to check. Another safety tip that I got from my grandma, and something that is used by a lot of Khmer people. They always say take garlic with you. You don't have to smash it, just take garlic with you. My grandma said if you have garlic with you, someone is trying to poison you, or you just have to squeeze it and it's just going to help you. Just having it, I don't know what really works, but it gave me a sense of safety. Yourself a lighter, you know? Who knows, maybe you're going to need it, maybe you're also going to need a scissor. I just like to pack a lot of things with me that will probably help me in some situation. Take paper with you. Take paper with you no matter where you go. For example, when you go to the toilet, use the toilet paper, or take a little bit of toilet paper with you, put it in your pockets. That's a new habit that I have formed because sometimes you don't know, maybe something happens, maybe your nose is starting to bleed. then you're going to need it. Or also, when it comes to nose bleeding, don't look up. Don't look up, look down. Also, when you have water, put it on a tower. Try to put it on your neck. That way, it's going to help you. Also, first aid. Try to inform yourself about first aid, what to do. Plan more money when it comes to food, even if it's less expensive. When I was traveling, I was so focused on saving money. No, it is so important that you need to eat good things. You cannot only eat snacks. You need the nutrients, you need energy, you need the healthy things, especially when you're traveling for a long time. When you are entering a new hotel room, before you close the door, look at every corner. Look behind the curtains, look under the bed, look in the bathroom, look everywhere, look for cameras, just to check. Look in the closet, even if it's scary. If it's scary, call your friend while you're doing this. Also, when it comes to your door, try to put something underneath your door. And there are a lot of TikToks on how to lock your hotel room safely. So, very, very, very important. Check for bed bugs. How to check for bed bugs? Easy. Just lift up your sheets and look on the sides. You see my bed here? You just look here on the sides everywhere. Sometimes they fall out for themselves. When you lose money, but you have online money, try to find someone who has, for example, PayPal, who you can send the money to and they can give it to you in cash. You have to check when it comes to money and currency what they actually use, because I have PayPal and I actually thought it's something that is very international, but no one used it in Asia. So I would always recommend you to get more cash. If you are trying to change a currency, one currency into another, if you need it right away, just change a little bit at the airport, but not all of your money. Have cash with you always, no matter how high the technology is. Sometimes they don't use it. Get yourself a bullying insurance. I have this one. I am still under the age of 21, so it's also a little bit cheaper. I have also printed it out. It's called the Ergo. And when you get those traveling insurances, the times have to put in a date. For example, traveling until the 20th of December. Don't put it as the end. Take the last day of the month to put it as the end, because you'll never know if you still have to stay there for longer. It is not more expensive, it doesn't cost more, it's just for your safety. Have an efficient way to spend money. Have a budget for every single day plan. For in Thailand, I was like, okay, my budget for everything, for transportation, activities, and for food, for every single day is $20. You can calculate it and you will see what my budget is, for example, when I'm traveling for 10 days. But depending on what your budget is, try to spend less money on activities and less but still enough money for food. Also, ladies, please check out hostels, because hostels are not always as bad. They're really nice ones. So hostels for women only. Then when it comes to apps, more apps where you can look for certain things, I can recommend you to look on booking.com. There you can look for everything: flights, accommodations, restaurants, hostels. Get yourself Google Translate. Always check your surroundings first. For example, you're going on a pathway, just check your surroundings. It's good to have eye contact with certain people. Just look at them. And when you stand up, try to look back if you forgot something. Yeah, and those were officially my advices. I hope that they helped you, and I wish you a lot of fun for your next travels. I cannot wait to post my vlogs from last year. I still have them, to be honest. I have been procrastinating for a long time already when it comes to editing those videos. I hope it helped you, and if you want to see more, write it down in the comments. I would love to help you, and see you next time. Thanks for checking. That was my first video on traveling. Definitely not the last.